Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the press conference. Welcome also to all of those who are following the press conference live on FIFA.com. As always, the translation, I don't have it here, but one is English. Here we go. 2 Portuguese, 3 French, and 4 Spanish. I would like to welcome all the people on the podium, starting by our president, FIFA President Mr. Blatter. Then we have the representative of the government, Minister Aldo Rebelo. Then we go on to the president of the CBF and the LOC, Mr. Marin. Jérôme Valcke, Secretary General of FIFA, and Ricardo, who is CEO of the LOC. Before we go on and I pass the floor to the President, let me give you just a few facts and figures. Of course, we're not at the end. We have still 2 games to go on Sunday. But here, as you see, we have, for now, an attendance of almost 700,000, an average of almost 50,000 people. We have the second highest attendance figure ever, if you compare with all the others. We can go on with the next slide, please. Yeah, let's try. Okay. Well, as you have seen in the last games, we had a total of 61 goals. This makes an average of 4.36. This is the second highest goal average so far in the history of this tournament. All 4 teams qualified, as you know, at the semi-final. Italy, Spain, Uruguay, and Brazil. As you see here, they won 12 out of 19 titles, World Cup titles. And last but not least, more than 50 million in 10 key markets watched only the game Brazil against Italy. And this is what might be an interesting fact also, that 71% of the population still support the World Cup in Brazil. So this is something that please you can consider. And therefore I think we go straight to a short video with the highlights of what we have seen in the last 2 weeks. Please go. these are the highlights, and these are the performance we have seen in the last days, and it's not finished yet. But now I pass the floor to our president, Mr. Blatter, please.
Thank you, Walter. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to this press conference. At the end, not totally, we are still missing 2 matches, but at the end of this competition, FIFA's Confederations Cup 2013 here in Brazil. We had this morning the meeting of the Organizing Committee of FIFA, and we have listened to the reports which were made by the members of this Organizing Committee from the different venues. And we have listened also to the report of the local Organizing Committee with President Marin and the General Director Roberto Trade. And we have finally got an exceptional message from the Minister of Sports, Mr. Rebelo, my good friend. I will not go into details what has been discussed today and what are the positive and negative points, because this will be part of a debriefing meeting next week, and some of the later speakers here, they will speak about these details. As a president of FIFA, I have to say that from the organizational point of view, when we come to stadia and when we come to the football game, I have to say that I'm particularly happy what has happened here. We were able to play in 6 practically brand new or remodeled stadium, which are definitely architecture, and we have had with some small practice problems in Recife. We have received only compliments from all the 8 participants. The 8 delegations have been participating in this competition. When we have a look on the pitch of football and the game of football, then I have to say that this was, I would say, easy to say it is the best Confederations Cup in quality that we have ever organized. The matches were very tense, attractive, even with a representative of Oceania, Tahiti, that has not the same level than the others, but this is international football. And we are looking forward to the 3rd and 4th place and the final tomorrow, after tomorrow on Sunday. When I say it was a good competition, I have also to say that it was a very fair competition. There was not one single direct red card. There were very few yellow cards. And therefore I have to make compliments to the players, to the coaches, to have presented to us such good, spectacular competition so far. There was a lot of intensity, there was a lot of uncertainty, and there were a lot of goals scored, and this is what people like. Naturally, the competition has been played now in a situation where there was definitely the social unrest with protests and manifestations. But I have to say that finally the football has played its part, the positive part here, and it's a part of emotion, to give emotion. And I would say when we say football connects people, it's connected people in the stadium, perhaps unfortunately connected also people in the streets. But definitely football is going out from this competition with, I would say, with a clear message. Yes, it was a good competition, and we are happy to be back next year here in the FIFA World Cup with the 32 teams and 64 matches. There are 2 points I like to mention specifically concerning the competition. It is the first time that an international federation, FIFA, has started in this competition with the biological profile passport for anti-doping controls, with controls of blood and urine samples, and that all controls that have been carried out of competition, with all the players on the list of the 8 teams, were absolutely negative. There's the one thing. The other thing I would like to add is the GLT, the goal line technology. It worked. It worked well. Referees were happy. All was perfectly in place. It was not used directly because so far we haven't had any conflicting situation. But those, they have already taken a trumpet by saying, why the hell shall we have a goal line technology if nothing happened? I would just ask them, why shall we have fire brigades if there is no fire? The other matter, which is a personal matter, I just want to tell you that, and I was criticized for that, that I had a commitment in another FIFA competition, because in our international calendar, with all the many competitions we have every year, it was not possible to not have an overlapping with 2 competitions. So at the same time we started here this competition, the Confederations Cup. 1 week later, we had the Under-20 World Cup men with 24 teams in Turkey. And you will remember that in Turkey we had the same unrest that they have had here. And therefore it was the duty and the responsibility of the FIFA president to be present at the opening together with Prime Minister Erdogan in Turkey to open the competition with the 24 teams. And then, after having done that, I was back for the semi-finals here. And in no way it could be said that I escaped on responsibilities. Contrary, I assumed 2 responsibilities practically at the same time. These are my remarks. I'll be at your disposal for other questions. And I give now the floor to Mr. Marin, if it's correct,
Yes.
the president of the CBF. And he's a happy man because his team is in the final.
Boa tarde.
Good afternoon, FIFA President, Mr. Joseph Blatter, to the Minister of Sport, Aldo Rebelo, to the President of the local Organising Committee of the FIFA Confederations Cup, Anouma, to the FIFA Secretary General, Jérôme Valcke, and to my dear colleague in the local Organising Committee, Mr. Ricardo. It is with great happiness that I have seen in the stadia and official venues the result of 3 years of the operational teams of the LOC. We have worked with great effort, especially in the last few months, in order to be able to deliver to all spectators, to the PMAs, to all officials, and to the media, not only a dress rehearsal for the FIFA World Cup, but an event of an international standard which shows our skills to perform something better and even more special in the year of 2014. Our meetings and reports show us that so far the result is very positive. Despite not having had ideal time to test all 6 arenas, which shall not happen for the FIFA World Cup, we have delivered to the spectator a new standard of services with spectator guidance, with our volunteers, private security, and entertainment within the stadium and numbered seats. This is a new experience for the Brazilian spectator, a new culture which is developed inside our stadia and that will make our football reach the highest standard so far. But no longer only in terms of titles obtained inside the game, but also the fantastic performance outside of a pitch. We know how to listen and how much we have to improve. We have had meetings in order to identify challenges and to find solutions. Already, with the purpose of the World Cup in 2014, we in Rio de Janeiro have had meetings with the other 5 host cities, Curitiba, Cuiabá, Manaus, Natal, Porto Alegre, and São Paulo. The other 6 host cities which have been able to observe the FIFA Confederations Cup operations and have learned with the experience of the other 6 host cities. But we wouldn't be here with the people who are on this table. This table, together with the 6 host cities of the Confederations Cup and the FIFA host cities for the World Cup, also show how integrated we are. We are all playing together for the success of this event, for the FIFA World Cup, and also for the benefits which they shall bring to our country. Apart from FIFA, the host cities and the federal government, we have a fantastic support during this event of the Brazilian people. Our crowd has been fantastic inside the stadia, breaking the protocol and singing the national anthem very loudly. These are scenes which will go into the history of this tournament and will be in the memory of every Brazilian. We would not have any better invitation to send to the world for 2014 for those who are watching us in the arenas in this Confederations Cup, a very successful operation and with an incredible atmosphere reflecting our passion for football.
Thank you, Mr. Marin. And now I'm pleased to pass the floor to the Sports Minister, Aldo Rebelo.
Boa tarde.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President Joseph Blatter, Mr. Marin, Secretary Jérôme Valcke, Walter de Gregorio, and also dear friend Ricardo, ladies and gentlemen. We are just before the final of the Confederations Cup and for the 3rd, 4th place match. 2 matches which shall take place here in the city of Rio de Janeiro and in the city of Salvador. I believe that Brazil has done its utmost effort in order to organize the Confederations Cup, meeting all the expectations of the country and of the world. We have received the champion national teams in this cup which comes before the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Next Sunday, we will see here in Rio the 5 times world champion and the current world champion of a FIFA World Cup. We in Salvador shall have 2 of the national teams of one of the greatest traditions in world championships, a 2 times champion and Olympic champion Uruguay, and the 4 times champion Italy. The matches in Brazil occurred during great manifestations of the population and protests in most of the Brazilian cities, starting with São Paulo, which triggered all these manifestations and where no match of the Confederations Cup is taking place. And naturally, there are some who try to relate the manifestations with the Confederations Cup. But I believe that the manifestations took place regardless and for very different reasons to the Confederations Cup. Because in the case of São Paulo, they started, first of all, due to the insatisfaction not only of the city of São Paulo, but the lack of satisfaction to transport, health, education, public security, and so on and so forth. And even with the manifestations, the organization took place with a lot of safety for the spectators, for the delegations, and I believe that in a democratic country, that is exactly what was predictable to happen. The existence of manifestations as a right, but also the commitments and the rights of people to go to the matches, as is what the federal government and the state governments sought to guarantee. In other words, the protection of all the protests, but also the right that people have to participate in the events which had been previously scheduled, as is the case of the matches, and that is what was done. So in summary, we faced these challenges. I believe that the operational plans worked. All of them have worked. The airports, urban mobility, security, telecommunications, health. And until Monday, naturally, we will also have how to give you a final overview of all the efforts of organizing the matches and of a preparation for the 2014 World Cup. The Ministry of Sport that has coordinated these efforts would like to thank you for the support that has been received by the Organizing Committee, by the local Organizing Committee, by FIFA, by the mayors of the host cities, of all the governors, because without the participation and cooperation of all of them, these activities would have been much more difficult. And we would also like to congratulate the national squads which reach this final phase, especially the Brazilian national team, which is the favorite for the championship.
Minister, before I pass the floor to you, three information. Three information. First of all, there is a media briefing tomorrow in Belo Horizonte for the closing of the second Football for Hope Forum. It's at 1 o'clock at the Direl Hotel in Belo Horizonte. Second information, the closing ceremony on Sunday here in Maracanã starts at 5:25 p.m. 17:25. So try to be here on time. And we will have a closing press conference on Monday, 1st July, at 12 o'clock at the Copacabana Palace. 12 o'clock, all right? So then let's go, and as usual, just tell us who you are and for whom you're working for. And wait for the microphone. I would like to start here. Yes, please.
Ben Smith from the BBC in the UK. Mr. Blatter, some people in Brazil have blamed FIFA for some of the problems that are happening in the country. They claim that you don't care about the people of Brazil and that you're only interested in profits. How does that make you feel, and how would you respond to that?
The FIFA World Cup is an event, and I would say it is the world's greatest single sport event. When it comes to the television audience, it's even greater than any other, speaking about Olympic Games. When it comes to the selection of the countries where the FIFA World Cup shall be played, there are a list of requirements, and with this list of requirements, there are questions asked, and then documents sent, assessed, and then finally a decision is taken on the basis of these requirements, which I think are still available on the FIFA.com. I'm sure
Yep.
I'm sure they are available there. And when there is a country that has been chosen to organize this World Cup, it is not the World Cup for this country, it is the World Cup for the 208 FIFA member associations, plus the 209, in this case, Brazil, because it is a worldwide. It is the World Cup for everybody. It is a World Cup that FIFA shares in the organization with a local organizing committee. And the aim of FIFA is not to take profit out of the country, but to put into the country the necessary help, or to help with the necessary means and with other, I would say, actions to make sure that this World Cup is a success. But first of all, in this list of requirements, what is the basic is that the technical infrastructure for the competition must be delivered by the organizer. It means the technical infrastructure is not only the stadium, it is only all the logistics which is linked with the stadium. It means streets, airports, hotels. Thank you. And then, when this is accepted, there is another principle which we cannot afford because we have no power to do so. And this is the security of a competition. The security must be ensured by the organizing association with the government. Only the government can give the guarantees, the necessary guarantees to organize a FIFA World Cup. And this has been done since the time, I think it was in 2005, yeah, 2007, and in 2007 we make the decision, and it was, I would say it was a wonderful fiesta in Brazil and in FIFA when FIFA has taken the decision in 2007 to give the World Cup to the country. I wouldn't say where the beautiful game has been organized, but where the beautiful game is played, and is played everywhere. And this was in 2007. Now, to the specifics of your question, what we are doing for the country, we have to work together to have a legacy for this World Cup, and not only the stadia, but we must have also a legacy for the environment. We must have a legacy for the social part. That's why we organize now this seminar or this forum for Football for Hope with more than 100 international NGOs to identify how it can be a benefit for this country as well. And if you need some figures on that, because it is to give and to take, because finally the World Cup shall bring something in the country, but shall bring something also to the world. For FIFA, it is essential for us to have a successful World Cup, because it's practically at 90% or 95% the only income of FIFA, to ensure that we can develop the game around the world with the development programs and with the different youth competitions for men and women and indoor and all these competitions that we are organized. There are 16 competitions in a period of 16 in 4 years. So this is what is the World Cup. If you need some more specific, let's say, figures, the other day here in a press conference, the Secretary General has distributed a document where it has been written what is the implementation of FIFA and what is the expectation of Brazil to take something back from this World Cup. I can understand this social unrest. I can understand it. Absolutely, I can understand that. But on the other hand, football will bring and brings at this time also to the whole continent. I say Brazil is a continent, 200 million people. These emotions and hope that they will have, because you have seen the reaction made by the cabinet of the government. They have promised to change something, to enter into, this is not our problem, this is a political problem. We don't enter to that. But something will be changed. And then the World Cup next year will have this platform where finally then this can be delivered. It's all a question also of patience, but especially it is a question of trust and confidence. Trust and confidence in the government of Brazil, trust and confidence in the local organizing committee from the FIFA side. And we have proven trust and confidence also in some non-comfortable situations we have witnessed here during these weeks and days. Thank you for your question.
Let's go here.
Hi, Rob Harris from the Associated Press. Mr. Blatter, 2 points. First of all, you said, without the headphones, you said a week or so ago that the protesters should not use football to make their demands heard, yet at the same time you organise Football for Hope, which says it wants to use football to bring about social change. Does that mean you disagree with Football for Hope? And on the point of the protests, does it sadden you to see your fellow football fans being shot at with rubber bullets? And not to drag it on, but final point, with South Africa, you helped them build stadiums with $482 million. Will there be any money from FIFA to help the country, given what the people have said about the need for funds to be invested?
I will kindly ask our press officer to limit the questions to one. You gave me a book of questions, and I don't know where to start to answer and to not give the opportunity to other members of the media to have some questions. So I don't know where I have to start with. Listen, anyway, when you speak about South Africa, at the end of South Africa, with all the let's say the success of this competition in South Africa, we have led a legacy, a special fund of $100 million, which is this fund is controlled by the Football of Africa, the government of South Africa, and FIFA. And I'm sure that amounts like that, or even higher, would be possible to have here. The second question, Football for Hope. We will never stop to work Football for Hope, but that Football for Hope, because hope is in football. Hope is one of the elements of football. I cannot repeat enough that we play football nowadays in all perturbed countries in our world. And not only in the perturbed countries where there are belligerent situations like in Syria or like in Afghanistan, where we play football, but also there is some social unrest. Look at European countries. There is social unrest. There are demonstrations. There are demonstrations in Portugal, in France, in Italy, in Spain, in Turkey, in Greece. And football is playing. This is football. Football is hope for the people and gives emotions. So if the Football for Hope forum here perhaps is not on the right time, the right place to do, but it will give us a result that will be beneficial finally for this World Cup, for Brazil for the next year.
Next one, and as the president said, one question you should know, but please, one.
Boa tarde a todos, Leonardo.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have a question for the president of FIFA, Mr. Blatter. I'm from the Italian press. I'd like to know why during yesterday's semi-final with Italy and Spain, there wasn't 1 minute of silence given in memory of Stefano Borgonovi. Please, could you tell us why?
I was at that match, and there was no minute of silence. But what we have done, and we have permitted, and it is normal, to give the possibility to the Italian team to wear a brassard, a black brassard, in memory of Stefano Borgonovo. You know, Stefano Borgonovo was, I have to say, because he passed away, one of football, professional football, who has been affected by a very mysterious illness, irreversible. He was suffering a lot. We were looking after him. UEFA were looking after him. They have even, for his foundation, they have given a big amount of money to help similar cases if they arrive wherever in Italy especially. And now he died. He died the day before. And it was a shock. I met him personally, and I met his family. I met his wife, one of his sons. I can tell you that it was a shock. It's always a shock when one of footballers died. But he was suffering so much. So the Italians, they were wearing this black brassard. That's all. And I think it is good. And we have sent a letter to the family and especially to his wife, and to express sympathy of the football family in such a specific situation. He was a professional football player, and he was affected by an irreversible illness.
Yes, here, please.
Boa tarde a todos.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vladimir from the agency Brazil. I have a question to Mr. Blatter, please. Mr. Blatter, is there a limit of security established by FIFA, after which point the event might even be suspended or cancelled if the protesters go beyond this limit? And I would also like to ask the Minister, Minister Aldo Rebelo, Minister, there's a protest which is scheduled for this Sunday here in Rio de Janeiro. We don't know what will be the size of a protest, but they will be going towards the Maracanã stadium. Do you believe that with these events, with the concessions that the public officials have already done towards the protesters, that this protest will in fact take place in a peaceful manner? Thank you very much.
Answering the first part of your question, I can say there was never a doubt in FIFA concerning this competition to stop it, or even to think about a plan B, which has been explained very carefully and very clear by the Secretary General. Because what I just repeated, what I said, I repeat it now, it is a question of trust and confidence. And trust of confidence in the government, but trust of confidence also to the population of Brazil. Because the population of Brazil, they like football. And you have seen in a Gallup, 67% of the population, even now in a situation of this unrest, they say, no, we want to have the World Cup. So I'm sure the next World Cup, the next year World Cup will be a success. And I trust here the organization, and especially the organization of the security. But Mr. Aldo Rebelo will give the answer on that concerning the match here on the Maracanã, here in our stadium on Sunday.
It is obvious that we all hope the manifestations be peaceful, despite that does not always happen. I believe the security forces have a double role. They have a double challenge to protect the protesters and their protest, to avoid the scenes of destruction, of violence, and of aggressions, and even looting, which have taken place surrounding the manifestations and protests. These are protesters that use those protests in order to commit acts of violence, and the security forces, the police, has tried to restrict and avoid and to repress those acts of violence. And likewise to guarantee that the peaceful protesters may protest according to the rights that protesters have based in the law and in our Constitution. I do not believe that the protests have as a purpose to hinder or to affect the matches. I believe that a good part of the protesters know that these matches are scheduled. Sometimes they schedule on the same day to have more visibility for all their flags and all their claims and all their requests, but not with the purpose of not allowing the events and matches to take place.
I'm just coming back to the question of the representative of the Italian journalist or Italian journalist about the 1 minute silence. I just remember, and perhaps you have not noticed it enough, we have had a very memorable gesture on the semi-final match on the 26th of June in Belo Horizonte between Brazil and Uruguay. Because on this 26th of June is exactly 10 years ago that in the semi-final of the Confederations Cup in 2003 in Lyon, in the match Cameroon-Colombia, Marc-Vivien Foé, a player from Cameroon, died on the field of play because of a heart attack. In the meantime, we have given different measures to try to avoid such situation. But for Marc-Vivien Foé, we have asked the public not to observe a minute of silence, but to applaud a player who has given his life for football. And this has been done in this very important match, Brazil-Uruguay, just for your information.
Thank you. Then you, I think. Oh, no. In the back, sorry. The back. Yeah, with the beard. ESPN, I think, right? No?
¿Qué tal? Soy Julio Moza de Argentina.
I am Julio Moser from Argentina. A question for Mr. Blatter. Mr. Blatter, you said a moment ago that you understood the situation of social unrest and that you can bring hope, and that also brought the government to take measures. And with this new policy for the country. Now, do you believe at the beginning of this cup, when it was understood that football was also being used as a medium for protest, was it underestimated in some way?
No puede contestar el tema.
I cannot answer when it comes to possible decisions to be taken by the government of this country. And then the Confederations Cup. When it comes to football, when you see that at the same time we have protests and football events, I think that deserves very special attention and possibly deserves a socio-demographic study that will go beyond the declarations of the president of FIFA, who does not have in his hands right now all the previous events and not yet all the conclusions to be drawn from this subject. But thank you for your question. I think it is important.
Afternoon, Mr. Blatter, Tariq Panja from Bloomberg. In 2009, I remember the final in Johannesburg. You and Jacob Zuma were together at the final and presented Lucio, the Brazilian captain, with the trophy, and it was quite a big celebration. Unfortunately, on Sunday, it looks like Dilma Rousseff isn't going to be with you on Sunday. Would you have preferred the president of Brazil to be there with you like Jacob Zuma was in 2009? Those images, a lot of people still remember those. Thanks.
So obviously you know more than I know. I have not yet been confirmed if yes or no the head of state will be present on the final. I don't know that. Belize, I give the question on this side of the table. I would be happy if she is there, definitely.
Over there? Yes, please.
I am not a prophet, so I cannot see if she's there or not there.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Vito Malfitano del diario La Capital de Mar del Plata.
I am from Argentina. A question for Mr. Blatter. For the journalists and for everybody else, the standard is South Africa. Now, when we compare this with South Africa, how does Brazil show itself when it comes to statistics and to infrastructure and the planning? If you allow me, I would like to answer your question, but leave it to the General Secretary, because he was in charge of the operations in South Africa, and he is also in charge of the operations here in Brazil, and I think he has the most adequate information, and he can do it. I hope you allow me to speak English.
So again, we still have work to do, as we had a lot of work to do in South Africa in 2009 for 2010.
Last two questions. One for you.
I would like to ask a question. Rogério from the BBC Brazil. Mr. Blatter, I'd like to ask you a question. Considering that the Confederations Cup is a test for the World Cup, would you say that Brazil has passed the test? And also considering the legacy of this Confederations Cup, do you fear, are you concerned with the image that FIFA leaves this competition with?
Ce sont deux questions. There are two questions. And the first one, yes, it was good that we have made this test, but it was more than a test because it was really the competition or the cup of the champions. And we have seen it on the field of football. We have still 2 matches to go, but according to all the reports we have received, and I listened very carefully to them this morning, I can say that the test has been successful because we know now where there is something to change, and we know especially all the good that has already been done. But next year there will be another dimension because we have had 6 stadia and 8 teams. Next year we will have 12 stadia and 32 teams. That's the first part of the question. La deuxième partie, c'était quoi?
La deuxième partie, I forgot. Huh? Image.
The image. Bon, listen, depending the image, you are the image maker of the world, and you are the image maker of the sport, particularly in football. And whatever I say about the image, you have your own opinion. But I would say, en français, la FIFA est sortie grandie de cette compétition. La FIFA est sortie grandie, et le football est sorti grandi de cette compétition.
I would say that our image was enhanced by this competition.
Thank you.
Last question, you. And as I said, on Monday you have another chance if you come to the Copacabana Palace at 12 o'clock.
Boa tarde. Meu nome é Rodrigo Viana.
Good afternoon. My name is Rodrigo Viana. I'm a journalist of SBT, and my question is to Mr. Jérôme Valcke, the Secretary General, the FIFA Secretary General. Mr. Jérôme, our SBT team of journalists has seen before the match of Spain and Nigeria in Fortaleza a security officer with a FIFA badge selling a ticket as a ticket scalper. I would like to know, what do you think of this behavior? He was someone who was outsourced by FIFA, and he sold a ticket which he had been given as a courtesy. Do you think it is correct to give courtesy tickets to the security officers who work for FIFA. This is something which has been aired by the TV station I work for. This fights between the second and third number of viewers, and also in the UOL portal, which is the biggest news portal. I'd like you to please answer about this. Thank you very much.
Is it a FIFA employee, or is it a security person working at security, or is it a worker? I mean, who is the person? If it's a FIFA employee, give me the picture and he's out.
A imagem está aqui.
The image is here. It is someone who is outsourced. He used to work for a company that was hired by FIFA. He was working as a security officer for FIFA, but with a FIFA badge. I have the image here, and I can show it to you as soon as we finish the press conference, or right now, if you would like.
The story, because firstly, the security is something which is under the local organizing committee. It's not under FIFA. And the free tickets are given to very specific categories. I mean, it's either the people we have agreed on the communities with the government. It is the workers, but that's tickets for the World Cup. So I'm surprised a bit about the story. But give me a copy of your video, and then we will look at the case. But definitely, the idea is not when you give a free ticket for the person to resell this ticket on the so-called black market. We are fighting against black market, organized black market. We cannot control 100%, but definitely it's something which goes against all the ticketing policies and principles.
Thank you. Before we close this session, one information. The referees for the final is Björn Kuipers from Netherlands, and third, fourth place, it will be Jamel Haimoudi, Algeria. This for you, and have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. Thank you for covering the World Cup, and see you at the final, and possibly Monday at the press meeting here in this room. Thank you.